Bloody hell.
Hello guys, welcome to the first episode of Red Devils Digest. Today I'm with Gavin and I'm also with Hayden. Is that how I pronounce it?
It is.
How are you both?
Good.
Good,
Very
I'm glad.
I love the fact that you put me in the Ronaldo slot in the thumbnail. It's brilliant. Right in the middle in the slot.
And I'm also with Kyne as well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Looking forward to doing this show as it's going to be an absolute madness. We're going to be going through all the topics today, but first, Hayden wants to say something. Just introduce yourself, as I know you wanted a little cameo.
I'm Hayden Blake,
Yeah,
one of the Blakey family, and
on Twitter.
but in the Blakey family, and I have no idea.
He's 9 years old and he's not staying because he doesn't want to get corrupted by Kyne.
Yeah, Kyne.
Well,
thank you for making an appearance. I appreciate that. We're going to be talking about around 7 topics today. Transfer news, manager news, summer plans for Manchester United, Ranić quotes, leaks coming out of Manchester United, which I'm sure none of us are happy about. I want to discuss David De Gea as well, as I've been discussing with someone that I know a lot over the past, I'd say, week. And I've made my own opinion on a certain topic about surrounding David De Gea. Review of Southampton game and preview of Brighton. First of all, do them topics sound all right to both of you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just waiting for you to reveal your United top, Kyne.
Yeah. I just so I training top for City.
Oh my God, Kyne.
I see, but that's the wrong. There you go.
We're starting off with a bang.
Oh,
Man City stream is tomorrow, mate.
Honestly, though, right, it's well documented that we need a midfielder, isn't it? Definitely holding midfielder, very well documented, if not 2. And even the players that I like in midfield currently, McTominay, Fred, Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, the players that I'm sort of with that are there that we like, we do need a holding midfielder. They just can't do that job correctly. And we've had from Rob Dawson from ESPN, Manchester United will narrow their list of midfield targets to around 15 before cutting the names to around 10. Negotiations with representatives and clubs will begin after a cut down to a short list of 3. I want to get your predictions on that short list of 3.
Well,
I'll go with you first, Gavin. Sorry, I'll do it in order.
I mean, for me, there's only one their board will go for, and that's Rice. And then if they chuck enough money at it, the only thing that will stop that is if he goes to Chelsea, which is looking like he's going to. But then you got the likes of Tchouaméni, and there's a few out there that, I mean, I'd rather spend the money wisely than just chuck it all at Declan Rice. But we know where our board is like; they're useless.
What's your prediction, Kyne?
I think the main target's going to be Rice. However, he's more than likely going to go Chelsea. He supports them, and at the moment they are doing a lot better. They're looking like they can be title contenders. They got unlucky with the injuries, so I think we've got to look at as well spending it wisely in the sense of we could get Rice for 100 million, but in January we could have got Zakaria for 6 million, who just covers that spot for the 6 months. Yep. If the new manager doesn't like him, it's not terrible because we only spent 6 million. It wasn't a huge waste of money, and they'll make 6 million back off shirt sales.
I completely agree with you. I'm going to predict we'll go for Rice too, but I'm going to predict we'll get Kessie. Now, I want to ask, I'm going to go to both of you again and ask, who would you personally go for? I'll go with Kyne first and then Gavin and then me. We'll go the other way around this time. Who would you personally go for if you were John Murtagh or you were Darren Fletcher or Ralph Ranić, for example, when he goes upstairs?
I feel like it changes a lot over different days because you see different things. But I feel like the perfect one would be Bellingham. I feel like he's so good, and he'd fit our team. I feel like because he's also English, he might have more of an understanding what it's like to play for Man United and what you've got to do. A lot of players nowadays, like Pogba, for example, don't really understand the whole we're Man United, we're a team. He just sees it as he's getting his wage. I was a good footballer back in, a couple of years ago. Give me 500k. Bellingham will take an average wage. I feel like I don't think he'd ask for that much, and he'd play for the shirt every game.
I completely agree with you. I absolutely love Bellingham. Who would you go for, Gavin?
I got a feeling that Bellingham probably go in summer 2023 rather than this year. I got a feeling that if Haaland goes this year, that'll be the only one that goes. Maybe a few of the other players, but none of the big high-profile players, because Dortmund don't usually tend to get rid of too many high-profile players in one go. So I got a feeling if Bellingham does go, it'll be the following summer. But, what a player. I'd love to have him in the mid. But if we can't get him, then I do like the idea of Kessie. I've seen the mass football fans saying it's on a free,
I would go for Kessie. That is the player that I would go for.
Yeah, the Glazers like saving money. It's low risk, and they could even get Amini as well. He's young, and he's somebody who, if Paul Pogba decides to stay, he's already played with him in the mid.
Yep, I completely agree with you. Kessie, he does seem like a class player. When we played against him, we played against Roma in was it the quarterfinal or the semi-final? I know we absolutely bossed them after going 1-0 down. Was it 5-2? It finished, something like that. It's one of the best games I'd seen in a while, and I remember that he actually played really well. And then I think the game after as well, Ahmad scored one, and Kessie also played well as well that game. Now, a player who you've probably forgotten about, who we've just sold to 14 million. Can you believe that we've sold this player for 14 million euros? Andreas Pereira. Now, what else can we say on this? For me, I'm gonna take a bit of a different approach to this, and I know. Don't get me wrong. I know Manchester United is not run correctly in the way that we want it to be run, obviously. However, I think this approach is coming from Murta and Fletcher. I've just had a message as well, by the way. It's AC Milan. Kessie plays for, not Roma. That's my mistake. However, selling Andreas Pereira for 14 million euros, I think that's a good approach. We've been struggling to get rid of players for a while. Phil Jones, Paul Pogba to an extent when he wanted to go to Madrid in 2019. I can recall a few players wanting to leave. Dean Henderson wanted to leave. We blocked that. Jesse Lingard wanted to leave. There's a valid reason we blocked that. And I couldn't completely understand why we blocked that. And I'm an advocate for blocking that move personally. However, I want to get your thoughts, Gavin, and Kyne, but we'll go to Gavin first. Do you think this is a different approach by Murta and Fletcher, or do you think we've just been very lucky here?
Lucky, probably. I mean, I don't have too much faith in them. They've been in the club. Well, Fletcher hasn't been in the club long, but he seems to be more wanting to be doing his coaching badges rather than the technical director or wherever his job description is. Murtaugh as well, there was all this talk that Fletcher and Murtaugh, they're the best. They literally set the world on fire. But I haven't seen any of it really transpire in the market. Amad Diallo, brilliant signing. What's happened? Where is he? I thought he might get a chance in this season. I do think going on loan would be a good idea, but I haven't seen anything from Fletcher and Murtaugh to fill me with any confidence that going into this window, we're going to be able to do the business for the outgoings and the incomings, especially in some of the most important places that we need.
I think we did very well personally last summer, and I don't know whether that was due to Murtagh and Fletcher. I'm absolutely not advocating. I mentioned it before. I wish last summer was very similar to every summer in the sense of how we handled business, in the sense of buying players, not outgoings, but buying players.
The centre back and the centre back and the winger we needed the season before. Jadon Sancho was supposed to be the season before. Yeah, okay,
True.
we saved money, but we also went with a whole season without a right winger.
True.
We needed
True.
back the season before. We ended up going a whole season with Maguire and Lindelof. Don't get me wrong, we finished second, but did we finish second on merit, or did we finish second because everybody else was just nowhere near? So yeah, I don't know. I think
What's your thoughts, Kyne? Do you think it's a different approach, or do you think it's just going to be more of the same and we struck lucky?
I think it is going to be a bit of a different approach because of the fact in January no one was signed due to the new manager coming in, and them might not fit in their system, which is it is smart, because if you spend say 40 million in January and then summer comes around, new manager comes in and that player doesn't fit his system, it's very hard then to tell the player that, I know we signed you in January, but you're no longer part of the plans. You're going to be benched until someone comes in to buy you.
Yeah.
I feel like last summer we did amazing in who we signed, but obviously it was all a year late.
Yeah.
And that's my fear that it could happen again, is if we do sign a DM, but then we might not sign a striker or a centre half, and then the next year comes around and then we sign them a year later. We struggle because we've not got that player, but then they buy them, which you might as well have just bought them the year prior to that.
I do agree with you there. Again, like you sort of mentioned, in a way, there's a lot of different factors and there's a lot of different sort of variables coming into play with it and things like that. But talking about a different approach, a smart approach that would be from the club will be getting Erik ten Hag in my opinion. We've had news from allow me to butcher this name, Mike Verwage, and I'm not going to speak about the actual situation that's caused Mark Overmars to leave because he's done wrong, and I'm sure he knows he's done wrong. But Mark Verwage says Erik ten Hag and Mark Overmars were one unit together. Erik ten Hag will be gone after this season. I'm quite certain of that. Now, I've heard a lot from Mike Verwage in the sense of reading a lot about him and things like that, just over the past year or so of having a podcast, and he seems to be quite reliable, quite in touch with it, with the actual football world and things like that. Now, I want to get your thoughts, Gavin. What manager would you bring in, and why?
Well, apparently Richard Arnold, he's had a change of tact, and he's agreeing now that we should go for Ten Hag, and I agree with that. I think we've tried the blockbuster with Jose Mourinho. We tried the old man, the old guard. The been there, done it with Van Gaal. We tried fresh, new, and inexperienced, but legend with Ollie. I think we need somebody who has got an upward trajectory, and I think Ten Hag is definitely one of the people that's on that list. Obviously, you got Julian Nagelsmann. He would have been great. Gone to Bayern, fair enough. But I do think Ten Hag would be a fantastic appointment. But it's the structure above him. Is he going to be given everything that he needs to make it succeed? And I get why they're not busting but the bank to give Ralph everything that he needs, because he's only there for 6 months. But you can't say to Ralph, we can't buy anyone because we don't know what the manager's going to do when we get the manager, and then say, oh, we're going to go and get Declan Rice. Well, what doesn't want Declan Rice. So it's a bit of a contradiction, but I do think out of the candidates, he's got to be top. Got to be.
I'm going to ask you about Pochettino. Obviously, you've put Erik ten Hag top of your list, as I would do too, and I will come on to Kyne in a minute as well. With the candidates, it seems to be the only two are Pochettino and Erik ten Hag. Now, I'm going to give my opinion first, and then I'm going to ask you. For my opinion on Pochettino, I'm going to be honest with you, it's all over the place, completely and utterly all over the place, and it will probably change in a few weeks as well, and things like that. But right now, I've been reading a lot about Antonio Conte made a few quotes yesterday, which basically said, "I've got my hands tied behind my back. I can't do nothing with this squad." In so many words, basically said that. And Pochettino got second with a club that, in my opinion, he got runners up in the Champions League. A club, in my opinion, which is similar to ours in the sense it is quite rotten. It like the banner says, rotten from top to bottom, and it is, in my opinion. So he's worked with his hands tied behind his back. I understand that Mourinho also worked with his hands tied behind his back at United, and I will call it a relative success in comparison to what he could actually do. Solskjaer worked with his hands tied behind his back, and to a relative extent, Louis van Gaal, although I thought he was backed more than most. So I would say I don't mind Pochettino, but I would prefer Ten Hag. What is your opinion on that, Gavin?
For me, I like Pochettino in the sense that I like his play style. I like the fact that he has youth come through the ranks. I think that he is somebody who probably would bring some togetherness in the changing room.
Yeah.
But I also think that he's a little bit naive in the sense that he hasn't really won anything yet. Okay, he might win the Liga this year, but they're supposed to win that. If we'd have got him after Jose, I think we'd have had a better last few years. I think getting him after PSG is probably a mistake because he will have had to have been sacked from PSG to have come to us. And whereas Ten Hag is coming with a better trajectory, I think Poch is sort of stuck like that. I don't think he's reached as high a level as he could have done. I do think he's made mistakes in which places he's gone. I also think Spurs were a little bit idiotic to fire him when they did. I mean, second in the Champions League final. That's the closest they've been to a trophy for God knows how long. But yeah, same with Mourinho when they sacked him. Final, literally a week away. But yeah.
I agree with you completely. And I'll read this out and then I'll come to you, Kyne. Understand, this is from Zishan. And I've spoken about him a lot before. He's worked for Sky in the past. He said, understand the players who are excited about the prospect of working under Pochettino are Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Marcus Rashford, and Nemanja Matic. Now, what is your opinion on Pochettino, Ten Hag, the whole manager situation in general, and them players that I've mentioned? Because surely two of them won't be there, or one of them won't be there.
If Ricky's watching, he probably just came in his hand.
I cannot believe that. Oh, go on.
Yes, I mean, come on. Oh, God.
I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned. Go on, Kyne. What's your thoughts on the manager situation?
I think before I talk about who I'd like, I'd just like to say, Kyne, when you said about Solskjaer working with his hands behind his back, I think that's false. He was backed a lot more than the majority of the managers because he was a yes man for the Glazers. They knew that he'd never make sly little quotes or little interpreting things for people to go, he's actually saying they're terrible owners, they don't know what they're doing, which is true. Also, I think if Jose had been backed like Solskjaer was and signed we wanted, he would have been way more successful and we would have won a league. I understand that Ollie was backed and he did show good points of progression of how he changed the locker room and the players' mentality at the time, but I feel like that was just that period. He shouldn't have been given a full contract and we should have got a proper manager. I understand we did have stints where we were amazing. We looked like the old United and I loved them points, but overall, he wasn't that good. and he shouldn't have been backed like that, considering we didn't back big managers who knew what they were doing and were proven to win trophies. But
Okay.
speaking obviously now on the current day and not what happened in the past, I feel like Pochettino is the right manager. Looking in a future sense of Rooney wants to manage us. Obviously,
That excites me.
He's not going to leave Derby this year, probably not the year after. And I'd like to see him have more experience because obviously if he comes in next season after keeping them up, he could ruin himself. We sign him, give him a permanent, then it ruins it. Some United fans start turning on him like they do. And
like
yeah, and they forget that, he's a manager, not a player anymore. So he's obviously, there could be a different level. But I'd take Pochettino for 4 years and then Rooney, where I think if we take Ten Hag, his project won't be a short term, which could be good if Rooney wants more years of experience, which I think he does want because he knows what happened to Ollie. So I feel like Ten Hag would come in, he'd set out a 5-6 year plan and say, I want this, these are the players I want to try and buy. This is the system, how I'm going to play. Set it all out, which is good. But then the issue is the Glazers. Are they going to accept that? If he says, I want these 4 players, I want to sell these players, and then in January, if we're struggling in this position, we're going to need to sign somebody, they might not back him in the sense of, we're not giving you all this money, you've not done this. And then that ruins him because then fans go, you wanted Ten Hag, we brought him in, he signed 2 players, he's not won the league. Because you can't expect that if he doesn't get a full backing. If he's guaranteed the full backing, we will win trophies.
Yeah.
If he's not given the full backing, he's going to struggle like any manager would.
I agree. I completely agree. Again, I wouldn't mind Pochettino, and you actually made a very good point there. In Rooney, maybe 4 years, 5 years down the line, managing us. I do want to just say, and I know this is the United show. Obviously, Rooney is a massive legend of United, the top scorer. If he keeps Derby up, I would put it in tier 2 of the greatest achievements a British manager has ever done. The tier 1, there's only one there with Alf Ramsey of winning the World Cup in '66, and I will put that with tier 2 personally. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on that, both your thoughts on that, just quickly. Got to be, yeah, 100%. It has to be.
But now with Rooney, I would have a Ten Hag come in, and I would say to Rooney, look, carry on doing what you're doing for a couple more years. Either come in as an assistant or come in with a view to take over from him and be coached in a sense of, right, look, this is what I can do, this is where I can show you, this is where I can offer you, and then I'll go on to do whatever else he's doing, because he sort of fills me with the vibe of a Pep, where he'll stay for 4 years, something like that, and then move on. He doesn't want to sort of stay down long term. Whereas Rooney, if he gives himself a couple more years, I can't see why he won't come into the club and do something special.
Yeah, it would be very special. I would love that. But we'll just get into some comments. The Mass Football fan says, I would love Enrique, but wouldn't say no to Ten Hag. I wouldn't mind Enrique, but he wouldn't be my first choice. Ten Hag will be my first choice with potential, just pure. Like the ceiling is just so high.
Enrique in like a second tier of who you want. You've got a top tier if I'd love. Enrique is like if we can't get these guys, we might as well go for him.
Yeah, if you're looking at Enrique's CV, he's definitely top tier, but currently he's not doing great with the Spain squad and things like that. He's just not doing great. Thomas says, hey lads, I'm so excited for this new series, GGMU. Hey Thomas, I hope you're all right, and thank you for tuning in. Pineapple says, hi Pineapple, I hope you're all right. Manny says, like and sub if you're new. Yeah, remember to do that and put notification bell on, as I always forget to say that. Ian Barron says, hi guys, I'm a Darlington FC fan. Hello Ian, I saw you in the stream before. I only got to sort of put your messages on briefly, but thank you. I appreciate your support.
On Twitter earlier on.
Sorry, what did you say?
I think I saw his comment on Twitter earlier on.
I think he did comment on my Twitter. Yeah, I think that would have been how he found me. Which I appreciate, Ian. I do hope you'll be here for many more streams. Bilal says Rooney is a legend. Yeah, the best. One of the best. You know what I mean? Hasn't Luke Shaw worked with Poch before at Southampton? When did we buy Shaw? 2014, was it?
Think so.
He-
It's when he had his hair like.
Yeah, we got him. It was Southampton, but it's
He was
funny.
18.
People that you read off are basically some of the people who you would think are, well, they're in the news for the leaks. The only one that isn't is Matic, but he hasn't been playing that much, so you could understand if he was a bit disgruntled. And then they come out and go, "We want Poch." Well, Poch is a yes man. He's a bit like Ollie in the sense he's an arm round the shoulder and a soft and gentle, man management kind of thing.
I do actually like that manager personally, where there's an arm around the shoulder.
But I don't think some of the players that we got right now need that. I think
we need an absolute bastard, basically.
Yeah,
exactly. We need a Roy Keane, but as a manager, and a player as well. Hello, Ian. Yes,
I think that's what Rooney's like.
You reckon?
I feel like Rooney, because you can kind of see it sometimes, but as a player, obviously, especially when he was younger, he was ruthless.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's got that bit inside of him where if he came to United in 5 years' time and they weren't performing, and they're just doing what they're doing now, where they're kind of not taking it serious, just thinking, I'll go home, post a tweet saying, next time we'll do better, keep your head up. He is going to absolutely demolish them in the changing room. I feel like he'd be shouting. He'd be like an Alex Ferguson, and obviously he played under Sir Alex, so he knows what it takes to win.
Have you seen the documentary?
I've not seen it yet.
I need to find time. I will give context as to why I've not seen it personally. So me and my uncle watched these things. We watch things like this, obviously. United documentaries, just anything in general. Sorry, go on.
You've been playing.
Yeah, I've had COVID, and also we need to watch Afterlife, the rest of Afterlife.
Money for your funeral.
God, on Thursday morning, I was sat there in my living room and I thought, I genuinely might not make it through here. I had to sleep through it, honestly.
Oh no.
Honestly, but I need to watch the rest of Afterlife and watch that.
If you look at Rooney in that documentary and the way that he talks about how he performed on the pitch and the way that he presented himself and how he believed in himself, I think a lot of the players that we've got in our dressing room now, they lack that understanding. They probably believe they're better than everyone, but they do it in a sense of arrogance. Whereas with Rooney, he went out on the pitch and he showed that he's one of the best. These guys are going, well, I don't have to do it. I'm already one of the best. And I just think that they need a little bit more of a, I don't know, somebody just give them a kick up the arse to say, you guys, the leaks, the
firm but fair is what you need.
Yeah.
Firm but fair, and we'll go into the summer plans as well. Obviously, as we're talking about players, and it's obvious we're not performing to what we want to perform to, so we do need new players. Now, Fabrizio Romano said yesterday, Manchester United want a young but ready number 9. The process will take some time as the club want to make the decision with the new manager, which I like that personally. You've obviously got your Haaland, you've got your Nunes. There was Alvarez who went to City. We've been linked with Nunes as well, very briefly. I can't name any young strikers off the top of my head right now. Well, you had your Vlahovic, didn't you? And then you've got ones in that low that tier just below. I would argue just below Vlahovic, just below Haaland. Well, them two are in a tier of their own, really. But do you think we need a striker? Because personally, I'm gonna say it. Ronaldo, as much as I love the romanticism of him coming, the signing, it hasn't worked out as how we'd expected it to. If you look at his stats, he's got 8 goals in 19 games, which is it's all right. It's not like terrible, is it? It's just not his levels of like unprecedented levels. And for me, the performances haven't been great from Cristiano either. And I pray to God that he performs against Atletico, which I think he will do because he's missed the Champions League. What striker would you go for, Gavin?
I think there's an infection in the team that they come in with form, and the infection of Manchester United drags them down to a certain level. If you look at the level that Paul Pogba was playing at Juventus, and he comes back, he's going to win us the league. You look at the level of Bruno Fernandes when he first came in. You look at the level of Cristiano Ronaldo, Jadon Sancho. Everybody seems to be dragged down to a certain level. And although I believe that Ronaldo should be dropped if he's, no player should a start just because of reputation. If you're not in good form, you should be dropped. Don't get me wrong, can't do that at the moment. Cavani's off on his saga holidays. But I do feel that people are jumping a bit too soon on Ronaldo because it's 18. There's from back to front, and obviously you've got De Gea. He's probably what the shining star, the shining light of the season so far.
Yeah.
We'll get on to him in a bit. Varane has been quietly very, very solid, and I like the fact that it's understated because that shows that he's doing a good job. And you have got a few individual players who are performing, but I think as a team, we're not performing on the level that us fans believe we should be. And I think that's where Ronaldo is getting to the point. I mean, he was down in right back, he was in defence. He's coming so deep to find the ball. It's just absolutely ridiculous. He's practically in Harry's bloody pocket. He's that deep. And it's like, he's not getting the service. And then when he is getting the service, he's literally just rash and it's going everywhere except where he needs to go. Open goals being missed, penalties being missed. So I've got a feeling if we don't get top four, he'll go anyway. I do. But I don't think that we should make rash decisions in February about whether or not he should go now. Because if we had an upturn in form, whether it's from the wingers, like, for instance, Sancho has been playing absolutely fantastic. I think Elanga should start instead of Rashford just for the time being because there's obviously something not right with Rashford. He isn't tracking back. He's trying to take people on when he should be crossing. He's crossing when he should be trying to take people on. There's just something not right with him. So I think put Elanga on. We need to decide what's going on with the fullbacks. Dalot, who has dropped off a cliff, he's not performing at the level when he first was brought back in. Shaw, he's gone back to old Shaw, the way he used to be before that year of Shawberto Carlos. So this is a whole team thing. And I think come the summer, when we are going to be needing to buy him, Ronaldo could be gone, Cavani's going to be gone, Martial's going to be gone. That's 3 strikers that are gone. Then you got the Greenwood situation. Who are we going to have? Hannibal. We need more than just one striker.
Yeah, our squad depth is terrible right now. And obviously, some of them things have been taken out of our control in certain situations and just other things that have happened, things like that, and injuries and Cavani requesting random days off, which has annoyed me. As much as I called him the king of Uruguay this morning, and I love him, but you can't do that. I'd hate it if Pogba did that, if Rashford did that, if Dean Henderson did that, if De Gea did that, anyone. You can't do that. It's just
he wanted to go somewhere, didn't he?
Yeah.
Then he wanted to go in January, and Rangnick convinced him to stay. So I reckon he's just, I'll play when I feel up to it, and I'm not going to push myself because I want to move to Barcelona in the summer, even though he's missing his family so much. Oh, he's missing his family, man.
Something like that. But what's your opinion, Kyne, on the number 9 situation?
I feel like it's a very big issue. The main issue was out of our control because I feel like the plans were Cavani goes and then we start bleeding a certain someone into a number 9.
Yeah.
And for the future, he could end up being able to do that again, playing. However, I think if it does come back that he's innocent, whatever, I'm not making any comments on it. Hypothetically, if he does come back, whatever, I don't think United will play him and he'll try and be sold due to not having him related to United. It damages the image. Stuff with Dean Henderson recently damages the club.
I'm not sure if the Dean Henderson thing was. I think it was a from what I seen, I think it was a little bit of a just speculation. Again,
Yes.
I don't want to say it was true or
I
fake.
mean, even with speculation, it still creates a bad picture because then you get kids on Twitter then spamming replies to United's Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, saying Henderson's done this, whoever's done this, whatever. They need to then look at the fact that social media damages the picture. Then they'll look at the leaks, and it all becomes a big thing. The number 9 situation, Greenwood was out of our control, but then I think you have to adapt to that now. Look into the youth team at Charlie McNeil.
Yes.
But I don't think he should be thrown in because that's just silly. It ruins it. When you look at stuff like the class of 92, they all say they were bled into the team. They weren't pushed straight into the starting 11, which is if we're going to start playing him, that's how it's got to be. The issue is we've got no smaller cup competitions where you can say you're coming on 60, 70 minutes. If you impress, you can be on the whole 90. And given the big opportunities. I know what you're saying about Premier League games. However, I feel the way we're playing, there's not going to be many games, if any, where we can sacrifice playing a youth player and having that inexperience. Because if top 4 becomes down to final day, I feel like it's silly and irresponsible to then say, Charlie McNeil, this game's on you. You're starting at number 9. If we don't win, we don't get top 4. UCL's out the window. But it won't be because we're winning it anyway. So we'll be in the next year.
I do like Charlie McNeil. He's a player that I've especially over the past few weeks, I've spoken about quite a lot. But I've quietly kept an eye on him over the past, I'd say around 1 year and a half now. He's so clinical. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. He's one of the most clinical players I've seen.
Same with Jimmy Garner. We have got some amazing players that are coming through, but they need to be the backup to a main player. So you need a striker with Charlie McNeil that's backup to him. You know, a bit like what we were doing with Greenwood, integrating slowly into the team. Same with Alanga, integrating slowly into the team. All of these players, they can't just be the answer to our problems. There has to be less pressure, because we don't want to sort of break them before they even get started.
Yeah, 100%. Don't watch says who's clinical. It was I was talking about Charlie McNeil from the Manchester United youth team. Welcome to the stream. I'll just get into a few comments. Imagine Manchester United being a fan-owned club like Darlington FC, my club. We were sold that dream.
They're in non-league, so doesn't really matter, does it?
It was previously a fan-owned club, wasn't it? Many years ago, it was founded as a fan-owned club at Newton Heath, wasn't it? Newton Heath. Y and R, is it? I always get the two mixed up.
The green and yellow, all in
I've got the scarf there. Well, where I'm pointing now, I've got the scarf. But we would love that, and we were sold that dream. However, it seems like we were lied to by the Glazers, doesn't it? Alfredo Morales from Rangers will get 20 goals for United. Do you disagree with that? The Colombian striker.
I watch Rangers, so it's not like it's me just saying, I think he's terrible because he's not scoring hat-trick. I watch Rangers. He's good, but I think he's good for the Scottish League. If we signed him in the summer and then you go, right, you're our new number 9, you have to perform. The thing I like about him is he's a shithouse, which is good to have on your team. Winds other players up on the opposition, and then it gets in their heads. They start playing silly, like Arsenal versus City. Red card happened, and then they fell apart.
Yep.
And they just lost the Reds. They could have won that game because they played well. But the second the red card came, they lost the Reds, went all over.
I think a similar thing happened against Chelsea. City last season it was. When David Luiz got that red card as well. I remember it happening, and he had an absolute disaster class afterwards.
I think it's a mentality thing as well.
Yeah.
Thinking we've now got 10 men we've got to panic. We don't have that extra man. Where when it happens, if you're coached correctly, I think you should play better because you think we have to work harder now. We've got one less man. I wouldn't take him at United unless he's a backup because we need a backup striker.
That's fair enough.
To me, that Morelos, he gives me vibes of Mitrovic, baller in the Championship, but put him in the Prem and he's just not the same
It's
player.
a mad one with Mitrovic. One of my best friends is.
And I sort of get that vibe with him, with Morelos, because I think that he is a good player. I just don't know his level is a top 4 team. I think he's maybe 8th place, 10th place, and he can work his way up.
Maybe an Aston Villa or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he'd be perfect for them. Absolutely. Yeah. Danny Ings hasn't really worked out as much as they thought it would. So, yeah.
Robbie says, would any of you take Giovanni Reina from Dortmund? Looks a baller from what I've seen, and he's still quite young. I think he's the American lad, isn't he?
Yeah, he plays cam. Sometimes plays on the wing. Again, he's good, but he's young. And when you don't see a young player doing overall outstanding for a whole season, you can't then say this kid's an answer to the problem. As you said with Garner, if you see United fans on Twitter going, he's playing sick for Forest, let's start him. No, that's just stupid. Yeah. You're then saying to a youth player essentially, and he'll know that you're now our main player. You've got to be top 4 quality every single game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you are going to get hate from fans. You're going to get abused. And unfortunately, you can't really stop it, no matter who you are. Ronaldo gets it. Obviously, racism's a terrible thing still. Elanga missed the penalty. Why are you doing that? He's young. You should be commenting, keep your head up. Don't worry about it. Keep playing.
What do you make of Elanga? Because I think it was a mistake not playing him in the next game. I think to give the lad a boost. I mean, there was everybody singing his name in the stadium after he missed a pen. I think throwing him back into the game in the Prem the following game at the weekend would have done him a lot of good. I think keeping him out of the team for as long as they have, I think that's worse because he's sort of it's almost like you missed a penalty, so I'm going to play Rashford.
It's a difficult one because I can see completely where you're coming from, and again, I'm in 2 minds about that. The question that you've asked, and again, I can see where you're coming from, but I think taking him out of that sort of situation, because I think part of why Rashford hasn't come back from form is due to the racial abuse that he received after the European Championship final, and he got overplayed. I think with Elanga, take him out of that spotlight for a little bit, take him away from it for a little bit, and bring him back in. That's what I personally feel would be the most calm thing to do. But again, it's a very delicate situation. It's a very difficult situation.
I understand then trying to keep him away from the racism side of things if he then plays and has a bad game because of his mentality from the previous game. However, I feel like that can damage his mentality more, saying you missed a pen, now you're out the team. Rashford, who he knows, Elanga's going to know that Rashford's not on form and he should be starting over him realistically, in my opinion. Still currently.
Yeah.
And I feel like you've got to look in your head is,
definitely,
you've got to think, come on, Ralph. Rashford's been poor. I've played very well considering he's young, came into the starting 11. He missed the penalty. It happens. Ronaldo missed one in the game and he's the GOAT. You can't really decide. Despite his form, in 90 minutes, one penalty means he's out the team. I understand them protecting him in the sense of, in his head, if he's panicking, overthinking, missing a pen, so he's got to play well, and then drops a disaster, you could get more abuse, which will probably have happened because we know what some football fans are like. I wouldn't even call them fans, some people are like, because they're not fans. If you claim to be a supporter of a club and then racially abuse one of your players, let alone a youngster who's just, that's going to tear him down. Same with the Saka over the Euros.
They are football fans. I think they're just racist people who look for excuses to be racist. Yeah. And they literally use that as, right, I can be racist now. And this platform as a way of targeting these people who literally...
The thing is, the stereotype. There's a stereotype that a lot of these people, and I've personally read this. A lot of these people are European and things like that are racially abusing people, like footballers specifically, and we all know it was happening every single week during lockdowns. And the statistics show that more people that were the racial abuse was coming from countries in the Middle East and in Africa. And that's from the Metropolitan Police reports.
I mean,
Because they're not fans of football.
I mean,
It's difficult to say.
You see it in America. It's quite rife over there with that George Floyd situation. We've had it here over the lockdowns. You saw, over the Euros, for instance, it was then. In fact, it seems to be getting more mainstream now. It seems a lot more. It never really went away, but it didn't appear as bad as it is now. It was before, but it seems to be getting worse, especially with the likes of social media, where you can create an account, get nuked, and then create another account and just rinse and repeat. So
hopefully, and I'm not claiming to have the answers. None of us are claiming to have the answers to solve this situation, to stop the racial abuse. But hopefully, the police, the footballing associations, and federations and things like that can find a sort of way to around this, where they can stop people racially abusing people. Whether that's restrictions or like forcing people to use identification, or whether that's just restricting what people can say on certain posts. I don't know. None of us have the answer, but obviously we hope the racial abuse stops. We will go into the Ralph Rangnick quotes now, though. So there's quite a lot, so bear with us. Apart from playing, this is Rangnick. Apart from playing together as a team in defence and improving and developing our defence work together, we invested some time in our offensive principles, and it showed in the game against West Ham and Middlesbrough, where we created numerous chances. I'm absolutely convinced that we're playing on a higher level than we used to a couple of weeks ago. Right now, we are fourth in the league. This was a few days ago, just before the game. Right now, we are fourth in the league. And everybody on the inside of the club, including myself, will be happy if we finish fourth at this season. Rangnick we'll get onto them. We'll get onto the communication issues in a minute, actually. I want to get your thoughts, Kyne, on them quotes.
I understand it's all well and good playing better attackively, creating chances. It means nothing if you're not scoring them. You can create 20 chances, score one goal, or create 2 chances and score twice. And I'd rather score twice and create 2 than Ralph go, we've practiced this. At least we're creating chances. It should be. Obviously, you've practiced. You're getting better at creating them. Now you need to work on finishing them, being clinical, because that's why we're losing and drawing games.
Yeah.
When you look at an overall performance, so obviously there were Southampton. We're going to talk about that. We weren't very good, but should have scored more. Same with Middlesbrough.
Yep.
We should have put it away, and we should have scored more. And that's just, I think that's the game Bruno missed an open goal.
Yeah.
And I feel like
the
reason for it is, looking at that from kind of a football standpoint, is he saw where the keeper was and thought, I'm going to put it as far left as possible. And that's what ruined it. It should have just thought about it of passing it into the net, as Bobby Charlton said. Is you've just got to pass the ball into the net and guide it like he can do. And then, despite the fact we should have been 4-0 up because it was a handball, the goal shouldn't have counted. It was a horrific decision. Then that might have been 2-1 and we would have won the game.
So what's your thoughts, Gavin?
Well, it invites pressure. The more chances that you don't put away, it invites pressure. And that's why in the second half, we're literally falling apart and other teams have confidence. And we're sort of like, the more chances that we miss, the further away we seem to get. And you just know, I mean, you've seen it in the media, second half FC, we're now first half FC. First half an hour FC, if anything. First 15 minutes, if anything. I mean, it just seems getting worse. And score the goals to win the games, but it isn't just scoring the goals. We are definitely creating a lot more than we were what, 3-4 months ago. There was a time where I mean, I've heard it on other channels, the graveyard shift for Cavani last season, you know, Greenwood, Martial, they weren't getting the service that they needed, especially with the likes of Cavani and Ronaldo's aerial ability. We weren't getting the crosses in. Greenwood wanted to shoot, Rashford wanted to shoot. We've now got people who can cross the ball. And I think the likes of Bruno and Ronaldo are trying too hard now. I think it's gotten to the point where that open goal that Bruno missed, it literally, like Kyne said, it's a tapping. But
just overthinking it, innit?
It is, I think the pressure is getting to him, the frustration, and he probably feels the weight. But the problem is, he's turned into a moaner. I hate seeing it. It's so annoying.
It is. It is.
He used to be vocal to the other players. He used to be the one. You would see it on the pitch where Maguire is sort of stood like that.
Yeah.
And you'd see Bruno pointing and shouting and pointing and shouting.
I pointed this out during lockdown, and it used to really annoy me.
He's literally...
Yeah. We can't hear you. It's cut out of it.
I'm surprised he's not in the fourth official place.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly, because we did point out, well, I pointed this out during lockdown when I was watching one. Well, I've pointed out several times in the sense that just stop moaning to the referee. We, as fans, can moan to the referee because we're not playing the game. You're in the game. You've got to be mentally strong. And I spoke about this with Amani, who's in the chat. You've got to be, you can't be a little bitch. Do you know what I mean? Just get up and just, do you know what I mean? Move on. It's done. You're not changing the referee's decision.
It's set to come.
I feel like you have a right to moan, depending on the decision. When it should be a foul, he's felt his leg being kicked. There's been no contact for the ball. Then it's understandable to be up, be annoyed, be like, fucking hell, ref, he's took me out there. Check the VAR. That's what it's there for. But when it's every single time of majority, sometimes, right, even as a fan, when you're just being biased to your team going, oh, I should be a pen that, when it's not, you got to look and think, fucking hell, mate, you're taking the piss.
Yeah.
Every single time you get up, you run over to the referee going, come on, ref, give us something. And it's you make yourself look worse as well, because then other fans are mocking you. And then we look embarrassing because our supposed saviour, who's the Portuguese Magnifico, every time he goes down, he goes over crying. You've got to set a line of that should be a foul, so I'm going to fight for that decision like a real captain would when it should be a foul. Not every single time you get touched and you fall over, you run over to the ref begging for a free kick, penalty, yellow card, whatever
100%.
it is.
100%.
Oh my God, he's turned into Salah. I've just realised. Oh God.
Oh.
If he started scoring like Salah, I won't complain.
Oh no, yeah, none of us would complain. We're going to the formation change though, and I want us to just briefly touch on this, and we'll move on to the next topics as we will run over quite a lot. So Ranić said we currently play most of the game with a 4-3-3 with one holding 6 and 2 8s. As I said, in the wing positions, we also have for each side now that Jesse Lingard is going to play. It's going to stay, and 2 players. It's up to them who plays. We now have in the current squad in each position 2 players to compete for each position. No matter if it's a right back, centre back, 6s, 8s, 2 central strikers, and the wingers. Wow, the formation change was correct, but
Matic can't play twice a week, so we've got fair enough, Fred, but I don't trust him to do the DM role on his own. McTominay, he can do the DM role on his own, but he isn't exactly the best at it. His passing range isn't brilliant, his positioning awareness isn't brilliant. But out of him and Fred, he's probably the better of the 2. Fred is more tenacious, but he's got like armbands around his legs. His touch is terrible. We might have the numbers for that position, but I don't think we have the quality for that position. I can sort of understand why this McFred thing was introduced, why Ollie was doing a 4-2-3-1, because they are the DM as one. They are. If you put their qualities together, they are that perfect DM. It's just then they're not the quality that we need.
Yeah.
If Matic was a few years younger, 5 years younger, then yeah, we've got that DM and they can play backup. But we haven't got people to play in that position. Loads in attack, absolutely loads. We've got centre backs, yeah, 4 of them, brilliant. Wingers, 4 of them, brilliant. Fullbacks, 4 of them, brilliant. But that DM position in a 4-3-3, that worries me. Really worries me.
For the end of the season, especially. What's your thoughts, Kyne? As I'm nearly choking here. There we go.
I feel like it's a bit. I understand that, yeah, we might have the numbers, but once again, it's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
In the sense of, you look at Man City, for an example. I know you really don't like praising your rivals, but their depth is absolutely incredible. You take away their starting 11, obviously Pep Roulette's a thing, but their main starting 11, they've still got a Premier League win inside as their backup.
Yeah.
Our backups are realistically not very
mid-table,
championship
probably.
quality, the majority of them, you know. I feel like you can look at the fact that, yeah, we've got Matic, McTominay and Fred, but when you've got a Sunday game and a Tuesday game, you can't play Matic in both of them games for 90 minutes because he's going to have an heart attack. You know, it's not going to end very well. And it's also the fact that players don't want to do that, the ones we've got currently, in my opinion.
You're completely right.
Holiday is Cavani.
Bilal says, nice dog to Gavin. Nice dog, Gavin. I'll let you use it. I'm not sure if I've said it on this channel before. Dogs are one of my only phobias. Serious phobia.
Kid.
Since I've been born, I've been scared of him.
That's a stinker.
Yeah, he's too much of a crybaby to talk about Bruno. Now, the leaks, it's a huge issue, but I'm going to give a different approach to this, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it in a second. Manchester, this was 11th of February, so 3 days ago. Manchester United players are becoming frustrated with Ranić's methods, with a section of the squad believing his training sessions are old-fashioned. I'm gonna name 3 or 4 articles, the headlines of the articles. Just bear with me while I read them. Manchester United squad reportedly unhappy with Louis van Gaal training methods. Ibrahimovic unhappy with Mourinho training methods at Manchester United. Striker Van Persie unhappy with Moyes' training methods. Manchester United squad unhappy with Solskjaer's training methods, naming it old-fashioned. I think some of the leaks are true. There's no doubt, because like for example, the starting 11 gets leaked quite often, which I do not like at all. However, I think I'm gonna say personally 90% of the leaks aren't true. That's just from guessing, because there seems to be a bit of a pattern here. I want to get your thoughts, Gavin, as you seem to disagree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm half Welsh. You'd think I'd love leaks, but it's every day now. It's getting ridiculous. And they've got to be coming from somewhere. They're not getting this information out, just pulling it out of their ass. You know, it's too specific to be just paper talk. You know, you see the likes of Poch and Luke Shaw are still in touch. The players want Poch. You know, there's been a few different things that have come out that you think, well, the only way they're going to get that is either from the player or their agent. It's just too much to be just paper talk. It's getting to the point now where it's daily, and not just
it is. And it's like a storm as well. Like, it comes in storms. Of wet. Like, it's like sometimes I'm sat there like on my bed and the news is coming out. I'm thinking, when is this going to end? Like,
Yeah.
is this just never-ending negative news from the club? And I keep saying, I've repeated it so many times on social media, and don't interpret this the wrong way, but as a Manchester United fan currently, I want at least one day before the end of this season with zero news, no talk about Manchester United, in the sense of zero news from media, from anything like that, coming from Manchester United. I just need it all to sort of stop. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. What is your thoughts, Kyne?
I think it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That it's happening. No club that's this size and has this kind of image as we're one of the globally biggest clubs in the world. I think we are the biggest, but that's up for debate. And I think the issue is as well with some of the leaks is, like, for example, say there's Zlatan headline. That doesn't necessarily mean Zlatan said it out and leaked it on Twitter or told someone like an agent. That could be as little as telling someone in the club that you trust, like another player, and then he thinks, well, he don't like it, so I might as well just tell this my mate. It could be someone out of football, do you know? If you've got someone playing for the academy, and then say Rashford and Lingard, a little further back, still probably good mates now, well they are, so best mates, and you look at them, say Lingard says, I don't really like the training, do you know, it's a bit old fashioned, whatever. Then Rashford goes, I'll tell my mate in the academy so he knows what's going on in the first team. He's not going to have the professionalism at, say, 17 years old to just keep quiet and go, that's kind of mad. Yeah. He's going to tell his mates, and then they tell someone, and then they go, fuck that, I'll tell the Daily Mail. That's a good little story, that. Yeah. Lingard, obviously, it's an example. I'm not saying that Lingard does tell people this, but it could be that players are just telling other players, and then it gets spread around to someone who tells someone else. Or it could even be the player directly leaking it. Like, say, Wan-Bissaka then going this or leaking the... Sometimes I don't mind it because I do the predictions on the United app where you get put in a ballot to win a signed shirt. So I won't complain sometimes with that sense of it. But overall, mate, it's just embarrassing. Yeah, and it shows that the players don't care. Players. Obviously, some players do care and love the club and understand what it means to play for such a prestigious club, where other players just think, fuck it, do you know, I'm here, I'm a professional footballer, these guys are on, I'll do what I want. Do you know it?
You just don't see any other club. It just, the constant leaks that we're getting, we don't seem to get that.
I've been on Let's Talk Premier League with Niall, and he's a Plymouth Argyle fan, and he does a United show, as you know. And I've been on there, and he said to me in like a private call before the game and things like that, before the show, and he's just said it's so easy to find news like because he's helped me sort of base the structure of this show off his show, and it's so easy to find news because it's just everywhere. It's like a storm everywhere. It's like never ending, which I would describe this season never ending stress.
The thing is, you see the issue that Newcastle were having when they had Steve Bruce, and they were not performing. Everybody was saying that they'd been taken over and they were going to go down. Not once did you ever see leaks about the players talking about Steve Bruce and his tactics and his coaching or whatever. And they were literally struggling. And they had a team that was fractured.
Yep.
Our team just seems to be constant daily drips of he said.
Just tiring. It's tiring.
Oh, please stop.
Yeah, exactly. De Gea. Now, we're going to talk about De Gea, but it's going to be quite brief. And I got, let's just say, I did a United Dream 11, and I put Dean Henderson in there on Twitter. Now, I don't mind Dean Henderson as a player. I don't know much about him off the pitch in the sense of if he's won the leagues, etc., etc. But just purely talking about the player here, I've got a quote from De Gea, which and he said several of these things, which I'm like, yes, you are the man for captaincy. Like you are that man. He said, this is 2 days ago, just after the Southampton game. The situation needs to improve and fast. We have to learn that this is not good enough, which isn't good enough. However, Dean Henderson and De Gea, there's been a debate there for over a year now. And I feel that they both bring massive positives and massive negatives to the team. For going forward as a United team, I would love to see Dean Henderson just give him one more chance. Nothing controversial, just giving another chance to prove himself. Just from watching more clips of him, and also when I'm watching other teams, which is very often, basically every day that football's on, I'm watching some form of football. And I'll go, oh, he's run out for the ball or whatever, he's done this, and De Gea wouldn't generally do that. And that's not like a dig at De Gea. It's just a thing where it's like, I would like to see something like that happen where Dean Henderson is given another chance. I'm obviously not oblivious to the fact that De Gea is undroppable. Sorry, go on.
I've heard of COVID bubbles, but I didn't know you had COVID bubbles in your head. Look, there's no doubting that he is a good player, and he is a good player, and he's a good goalie. And I've seen the images. He comes off his line. Yeah, he does come off his line. Yeah, well, brilliant. You know, both of them have got qualities that the other one hasn't. We had Sergio Romero. He was the world's best number 2.
Yeah.
All the shouting, give him a chance. Yeah, he played the cup games. I think Henderson should play the cup games. Yeah, okay. We won the Europa League. We played all the way to the final. We won it that year. Where was all the prop then for Sergio Romero to be taking Henderson's place, De Gea's place? De Gea was having stinkers back then as well.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, this season, I get the criticism of David De Gea with regards to him coming off his line.
Yeah.
But simply, we are lacking in that sense. We've got Varane doing his bit. You've got Wan-Bissaka, who's been out of the team now for a bit. Dalot is not as defensively sound when it comes to positioning.
Yeah.
You've got Shaw, not
Same.
on, and then De Gea coming off his line. It does put us in really bad positions.
Yeah.
However, we wouldn't be where we are right now, which isn't as it is, if it wasn't for De Gea. And I get where the Henderson prop comes from. He is a quality keeper. But I haven't seen enough of him to say, oh, well, let's give him a try. Why should we remove De Gea, who has kept us where we are, and not be worse than we are, just to see what he's like? Why not just send him out on loan in January?
Yeah.
Why didn't we do that? I
don't understand why we blocked that. With, like I said, with Lingard, I can understand why we've blocked that, but
we got Heaton, we got Grant. So why not send him out on loan to Newcastle? We can see what he's about. We saw it at Sheffield United. And if he isn't going to come in as number 1 and he doesn't want to play as number 2, he's an asset that can be sold. So, you know.
Armani says, unless Dino gets 85% of De Gea's shot stopping ability, we should sell Dino with a buyback clause. It's a good idea. What do you think, Kyne?
He's nowhere near as good as De Gea, obviously. And I think De Gea is obviously 10 times better. And I feel like when you talk about coming off the line, I feel like it's okay to have that weakness, considering how much he saves us when he's needed to. I feel like you put Dino in that situation of having to save us like several times, or having the opportunity to move to Real Madrid, who I think at the time was doing the 3-peat, if not already done it with a UCL. He could have left. We were a sinking ship. He stayed there. And he knew he had faith in himself. He loves the club and he loves the fans, which is one of the reasons he should stay in goal. His loyalty's been proven. That he's not. He don't care about the money, because he would have gone to Madrid. Majority of players would have fucked off to Madrid in the situation we were in, and he didn't. And that's the reason I love him, was because he stood by us and he thought we would have gone horrific out there. We would have been struggling for a keeper. We probably would have made Maguire keeper signings of buying keepers that don't fit the team, spending money. You know, Romero was great, but he was a number 2. That was his whole. He's an amazing number 2. He's not an amazing number 1. when you compare him to, say, Alisson, Ederson, Courtois, Neuer. When you compare De Gea to them, I'd say he's the best keeper in the league. People disagree. People put team trophies on the table, which is a stupid argument because one player can't make an 11-player team win a trophy. It's ridiculous. You talk about Mendy, he's won the Champions League. Well done.
I do think Mendy's a great keeper, personally.
He's good, don't get me wrong, but I feel like if you put him in a situation of Chelsea are falling apart, they're going 6th, they're going 8th. When he's been there, when they've done as well as they have, like De Gea was, and they're sinking, and then Bayern Munich or Madrid, PSG, whatever, big team, Champions League contenders come in, he probably will fuck off. He won't have the loyalty like De Gea would, which is another reason he's also better, because he's not going to leave you when you need him most.
You're right.
Which a lot of players think about themselves.
Back early in pre-season, didn't he?
Yeah.
To work on everything that he was sort of failing with, like last season, the mistakes that he was making. And it's visibly there. You can see the improvement. You can see that he's back to...
Oh, yeah.
Because he just won Premier League Player of the Month, which is the first time a goalkeeper's done that in a very long time. And that shows how good he is. And when people talk about how good Ederson is, he's not that good. He can kick a ball far, well done. But realistically, when you watch Man City, they defend very well. And when he gets tested, he concedes a lot of the time. Yeah, Ederson does. If you put him in De Gea's boots with that realistically terrible defence and the defence we had over the years of De Gea being in goal, saving us like Arsenal, the amazing double save, you know, as a man said, De Gea could have saved the Titanic. He genuinely is untouchable and he's undroppable at the moment in time. Last season, he had a rough patch, but he's been so good for so many years, it's kind of expected. 100%. And I think that realistically, he's probably going to retire here. If not, get to an age of realistically, we can't keep you playing week in, week out. And he will lose his skill, like some players are. I love Ronaldo to bits, but you can see it visibly in his face, like the clip that went viral. He knows himself, and the thing is with him is he's still got the ability. It's his body that's letting him down, and you see it in his face. Mentally, he can go for 90 minutes. His body lets him down, and you see the pain in his face. And I feel like De Gea is the exact same as a Ronaldo, even Bruno Fernandes, who does love the club despite the moaning. When you take away a flaw like the moaning and look at him as a player, as a potential captain,
for
he's
sure.
amazing. You know, he loves the club. And when you're seeing that when he's been captain in the past, like he was in the Europa League, he gives his all, which is amazing. But De Gea should be the captain because he shows he loves the club. His loyalty's been proven and tested. And he performs week in, week out. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we got man of the match 4 games in a row. When you consider you've got Ronaldo, Rashford, Bruno, Varane, you think, oh, come on, mate, they should be getting a man of the match. When it's your goalkeeper outshining amazing play. Well, don't get me wrong, De Gea's amazing. I'm not discrediting him. When he's still outshining players like Ronaldo, Bruno, and you've got to score to win games.
Yeah, you're right.
They're not doing it. De Gea's the reason we're staying in it. There's no praise realistically when you look at a whole team. Anyone deserves besides De Gea. This season, overall now, I feel like it's going to be the same as the past. We've got to thank De Gea for when we finish top 6, hopefully top 4. You know,
I think we'll finish top 4.
I'm not hoping we fail for certain players to then go, we would have got top 4 without him. This is why he shouldn't play.
Oh, no, yeah.
Because a lot of people do that and they go, I'd rather we do come 6 so then I can moan it. You know, Maguire, Fred.
I'm just going to say it now. If we don't finish 4th, especially as a season ticket holder, I don't know about you guys, obviously, as a season ticket holder, me and my uncle have both agreed we'd rather finish 8th than 5th or 6th or 7th.
100%.
I don't want to finish in the Europa League or Conference League.
The thing is it's the same as, you know, coming 1 number away from the lottery.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'd rather get no numbers than be that close.
Yeah.
I'd rather not play any European football than come 5th.
I would personally.
I'd rather take the, you know, couple of City fans on Twitter going, you're not even in Europe, you should. Yeah, but that gives us an opportunity then to focus on the whole season. We've not 100%. Been distracted. And I feel like the Champions League is very winnable. And people do laugh and they go, you can't beat Middlesbrough. Doesn't matter. There's a mentality there. Bruno came out and said himself that he thinks we can win it. And when you have players that believe they can win that trophy, that shows there is a chance. Because a lot of time, mentality can beat the ability of. If Bruno, Ronaldo, Varane, Rashford, Elanga, Sancho all think that they're going to win that UCL, we will win the UCL.
Yeah.
The Premier League, I feel like a lot of the mentality there is City have won it, Chelsea are clear, Liverpool are clear.
And
other teams are looking
can
back.
you do it in a 38 game season as
Exactly.
well?
It's a lot of, I feel like they mentally fatigue themselves a lot more than they do over the season by going, oh, mate, we've got 4 games in a short period of time. We're going to be knackered. We're going to struggle. And then you struggle then when you're knackered. If we get PSG next round, I don't know if it's possible. But for example, if we get a big tough team, then players look at that draw and go, that's going to be tough. You've lost. If they look at that draw when they're all sat there in the room watching it on TV, or they're all in the group chat and they go, we're winning this, lads. We're going to go out there, 2 legs, Park the Princess, Old Trafford. We're going to put on a show. We are going to win. That's when you do win. And that's what happened with Ollie. I believe when we went out there, Ollie knew it when he said, mountains are made to be climbed. He had that idea in his head. He knew we were going to win. We are Manchester United, and that's what we do. And that's what they did. They was youngsters. We didn't have Pogba, who would have been amazing in the game. You know, Greenwood came on, youngsters came on. Rashford had that pressure, and he didn't think anything about it. Cool as a cucumber, smashed it in, and that was it. A night to remember. And that's 100%. What we need overall. It's great having them small moments of remembering it, but then when you go on to get beat by Barca the next round, it's kind of ruins it.
That's
right in.
That's where they're in that mentality, and that's where you see it in the second half of the games. If they had that winning mentality, like when Bruno first came in, like Ronaldo when he first came in, you know, that determination, I'm going to get that ball, I'm going to do something with it, I am not going to be beaten. They seem to be lacking that. It seems like everything that's going on in the club is dragging everybody down. And, you know, I love the fact that De Gea is now a leader on that pitch, the way he is vocal with the people. There used to be a complaint that he wasn't vocal. He didn't speak to the defence. And that, you know, the likes of Maguire preferred having Henderson behind him because he spoke to him. Well, you see that now. You see him literally screaming at them. We need more of that. We need more players on that pitch who are willing to fight. And, you know, for this badge that they got on their shirt, when 100%. They put that they go on that pitch and they bloody play.
I think some players do tend to be afraid of doing it to cause issues in the dressing room. Where would you not much rather have in that game shout at somebody to do something and then you score from it? And it was when Lloris and Son had the issue a while back when he's screaming.
I remember that,
He's screaming, track back, what are you doing? And he doesn't do it. We've seen, do you know, when there was no fans in the stadium, which what I liked about that was hearing the players a lot more.
Yeah.
With Maguire, and the other week with Maguire and Rashford, when he's saying about being offside. And then obviously, come on, mate, you should try and stay onside. But at least he's trying to create that opportunity of running in behind and giving us a chance. Maguire as a captain's pathetic, right? Yep. And there's a thing, I think it's against Spurs when we got battered, when the foul happens and De Gea is the first one over to the referee. He shout. I think it's Liverpool when De Gea gets Van Dijk elbows him or shoves into him. They score. The goal got disallowed, I believe. I don't recall. But De Gea's straight over there. He's shouting. He knows that shouldn't be a goal. Maguire stood 10 metres back, scratching his head, going, have we conceded? I didn't know that the game started.
He's absolutely not captain.
Pathetic. I understand you, Kyne, when you praise him because he is good. But as we've seen when we spoke about in the group chat, I feel like being the captain has put pressure on him. And that's to say, pressure either makes diamonds or you crumble.
I've spoke about this with a few people as well.
Under pressure, which is unfortunate because He's not 80 million, and he's not really that overrated, but he is not good currently. And we've seen it in the Euros and the World Cup. He can be world class, and that's what we bought, was a world class centre half. They then went straight away and went, "Here's the captain's armband," and then he's gone, "Bloody hell!" I went from Leicester City relegations with Hull to I'm now the captain of Manchester United.
He definitely
It
doesn't
struggles.
suit the
I think it's affected him mentally.
Yep.
And if you take the captain armband off him, giving it to Varane's a bit dodgy because he's new in, and the same could happen with him as it did to Maguire. I think it wouldn't, because Varane's a lot more experienced. He's played with Madrid. He's been in UCL. He's won the UCL. He's won the World Cup. He's done a lot, realistically. So I think it could be an option. But I believe currently give it to De Gea. Yes.
I agree.
Some people disagree because you can't really shout to Ronaldo. But that doesn't matter when the main struggle can come defensively. Of Maguire versus Southampton, like, it's pathetic.
I would, if we did get Declan Rice, and I know we're saying he's most likely on Chelsea, I'd give it Declan Rice.
Because you see, when he plays for West Ham,
he's a fucking leader. He's a leader.
And the thing that's amazing is he's been taught off Noble. And I was watching a podcast that had Mark Noble on it, and he's talking about it. And every player who's played with him, it was on TalkSport as well, Jack Wilshere, was saying all the clubs he's played at, Noble's the best captain to have. Because he puts his arm around you, he treats you like you're basically a mate, regardless of. And if Declan Rice, despite him being young, I believe he will take that pressure and become a diamond.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't crush. He'd play in the centre of the pitch, which is realistically the best place to have a captain like Roy Keane, because you can shout at the defence, you can shout at the attack. It's just there, and you can turn around shouting. Where a keeper rarely can only shout at the defence, and you defend with mid because they're closer to you, which is an issue. But I think if Rice comes in, make him the captain, potentially test it out first, maybe in the first few games, go from De Gea to speak to De Gea about it and see what he thinks as a player that should be respected and his opinion should matter. I'm not saying that if David De Gea gets asked, right, that I'm not playing it, I keep getting notifications, and I was trying to subtly turn it down.
That's fair enough.
Wasn't very subtle, I don't think.
I'm just going to interrupt you there. Cheers, Kenny, for telling us that, because if we do get to the Champions League final, which I'm saying we will, because I'm manifesting it, I'm going to go and watch that in IMAX.
They'll have it on IMAX in the cinema.
Well, it seems so. It seems they've got Champions League nights in view. I didn't know that.
What? That is mental.
I assume it's the Salford one as well, because I know Kenny's a season ticket holder, so I assume you live somewhere around Manchester to be a season ticket holder. I'd assume. Obviously, I've spoke to you many times before. If Brighton win, they go 8th and 4 points off top 4. They actually have something to fight for, and we'll fight for the badge, unlike most of our team. I'm not confident at all. You know my thoughts on Brighton.
Kean loves Brighton. He's a little Brighton fan.
Enjoy, Morecambe fan. I'm going to go on to the review versus Southampton, and then I'll get you quick score predictions versus Brighton. Now, my opinion on the game against Southampton was very different to everyone else's, I noticed. And I feel if it must be I've got something wrong, or I've watched it wrong, or I'm trying to be blindly positive with COVID. So it's something along those lines. But I think we performed very well the first half. We came out shit in the second half for the first 15 minutes of the second half. And then we performed very well after that and created a lot more chances than we usually would have earlier on in the season. I want to get your thoughts, Gavin.
We definitely picked up in the last 10, 15 minutes where he threw Lingard on, took McTominay off. I do worry about how late he's making substitutions. The fact that he's on, I mean, he made the other night, the Southampton match the other day, and you're sort of thinking there are other changes that you could make, and you sort of you start questioning it. But we asked these questions when Ollie was manager. Late substitutions, what we felt were either wrong substitutions or not utilizing the bench. I mean, I remember Ollie having 5 subs in the Europa League final and not
using any
in the 90 minutes. So it's almost like those frustrations have rolled over. us as fans. But it's like Ollie is just hiding in a Ralph Rangnick costume. I don't know. It's really odd. It really is. I mean, everybody was talking this guy up, and I was one of them. And
So was I.
this technician, this guru, this guy who taught Klopp and Pep and all of these, Tuchel, and you sort of sit there thinking, "Oh God, we're getting a good chap here. He's going to be revolutionise the place." And then you sort of see, no Donny van der Beek playing, goes to Everton. First game he plays, full 90 minutes, man of the match, playing in a position which apparently he can't play. Now it's only one match, but, in that one match, he played more minutes than he did in the whole time at United this season. And that's shocking. And then you take into account the late substitutions. That Southampton match, we were crying out for a change. We were. And the opportunity was there to grab hold of that team and win the match. I think the Rashford change was too late. I think Elanga should have come on a lot earlier. I think that in the mid we could have changed a bit quicker. Do something, do something different.
Yep.
We had the chance of winning that match in the last 15 minutes when we were literally ramping the pressure up, and we had one sub and we didn't. That sums it up.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Now, what's your thoughts, Kyne?
I disagree with what you've been saying, Kyne, about it being a great performance. It was poor. The first 15 minutes, 20, 25 minutes, they were good. The issue is they're not doing it for 90 minutes. So the 20 minutes doesn't count. It doesn't really matter. You can talk about it and go, yeah, but we played good for 20. A football match isn't 20 minutes long. It's 90 minutes long. You've got to do it the entire game. It's the same when they go, yeah, but for 10 minutes, we were really, this 10-minute period, we played champagne football amazingly. It doesn't matter if you're not winning. And we didn't. And the thing is when you talk about the substitutions, and, with Ollie in the Europa League final, an issue was, I remember watching it, and we were crying out for the sub. Dan James should have came on way earlier. 70th minute, I was saying he should have came on. We didn't have an equality of depth to bring on, which was an issue. Of bringing someone on confidently going, I think he can get a goal. I love Dan James. Not as much anymore because he's at Leeds, but I loved him, and I had faith in him. But the issue was, if he comes on, it wasn't a confidence if he's going to score or create a goal. It was more just, he's got the pace. He can run in behind, and hopefully we get a penalty because he gets fouled.
Yeah.
Overall, with Southampton, we were not very good. A draw, it's not terrible, but we should be winning them.
Definitely should be winning it, yeah.
But, 20 minutes, we're really good. We're not good overall. Draw the game.
No.
Something needs to change, and it needs to change rapidly.
Yeah. I agree, and as you're saying, things need to change. The title of the live stream is "The Only Way Is Up." It's the question mark as well. I'm gonna predict the Brighton game, the Brighton scoreline, as I'm able to go back to Old Trafford, so can't wait. I'm gonna say 3-1 Man United. What are you saying, Gavin?
Heart 2-1, head 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw.
My heart is a 2-1 win.
Oh,
with 1-1.
Habitual.
We've had a lot of 1-1 draws with. Well, we've had a lot of draws in general with Brighton, and they are a good quality side. Potter has got them ticking quite nicely, and I just feel that they are a little bit better than what Southampton are. I think that they're going to give us a lot more difficult games, and if they don't turn up, whether it's in the first or second half, I think they will give us a real tough game. So
do I. I think it's going to be a tough game.
Head draw.
What's your prediction?
I think 1-1. I've been saying it since the Southampton game. I predicted Southampton be 1-1, and a lot of people were no chance, we're going to win. I just feel currently, the thing is when people go, no, we can definitely beat Brighton, it's not a fresh slate every week. You've got to look at the form and how we're playing. I want us to win. But I'm not praying on a draw and so I get a prediction right. It's more that we should be winning them games. But I just think when I look at it, I go, it's a 1-1. It's just when you look at a game and you instantly get a feeling and you don't really have to debate and go, you've got to look at factors. It's just looking at it and going, we're going to draw, whether that's 1-1, 0-0. I feel like it's another game where we'll score first and then we'll drop. We'll get a bit, confident that we scored with 1-0 up and then we'll just be sloppy. And they should have beat us last year, I think it was maybe, or in lockdown when Bruno got the 96th minute.
After the final whistle.
They hit the woodwork 5 times.
Yeah.
I mean, they were so unlucky. And then we got a penalty. Morpay after did a crying celebration, which is what was amazing. He was being a shit house after he scored. Then he gave away the pen to lose it. We shouldn't have beat them. They should have beat us. It's just how football works. Stuff like that happens. We're going to draw with Brighton. There could be a win in there, but how Brighton play, how we're playing, how they're playing, I just feel like it's going to be a clash that ends in a draw.
Yeah, I hope not, but I can see why you both think that. Now, I want to thank you guys for tuning in for 1 hour and a half. I hope you've all enjoyed the first episode of Red Devils Digest. Have you two enjoyed it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I've spoke a lot, and that's what's very good. I'm talking about my club, and
Exactly,
you get to get thoughts out on it, which is why everyone should like and subscribe. Same time next week.
Yep, same time next week, 7 p.m. Each Monday. I'm next live at 7:45 on Wednesday for an Inter Milan versus Liverpool watch along. I do apologise for no watch along tomorrow. Real Madrid PSG. As I say, United rescheduled that game to tomorrow, the Brighton game. So at the end of the day, I'm going to that one.
Don't forget to follow us all on Twitter.
Yeah. Do you want to give you both your socials? I think both your socials are in the description as well.
Yeah. If you want controversy with regards to performances, go on Kyne's page. If you want controversy with regards to, just general stuff, go on to Kyne's page. And if you just want a laugh, come to me.
Yeah. Gavin and Kyne's socials are down below. Remember to check them out, follow, and subscribe. Same time next week. Tune in for the watch along. We'll end that stream there. Thank you guys for tuning in and have a great night.